Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Blood Hunt number 3. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Jed McKay, with art by Pepe Larraz, colors by Marta Gracia, letters by Corey Petit. Now, I'm just reviewing the regular version. I will do a separate video where we talk about all the stuff going on in the red band version. I think I got the cover for the red band, but this is just a review of the regular version. In this issue, night has fallen. Will the sun rise again? As the heroes rally at the Sanctum Sanctorum, they must first deal with a threat close to their hearts. And while they raise the torch of defiance, the new Lord of Vampires enacts his dreaded scheme. This was a really interesting issue because there's a lot of setup. So let's talk about some of the key players here. I love that Marvel puts this out here first. So we have, of course, Blade. We have Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Bloodline, daughter of Blade, Clea, Doctor Strange, and Dracula. We also have the Avengers, comprised of Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Iron Man, Thor, Captain Marvel, and Captain America, in case you haven't been keeping up with the Avengers title. We also have the Midnight Mission, Hunter's Moon, and Tigra. As we know, Moon Knight is out of commission at the moment. We also have a Bloodstorm 1, Smoke Eater, Cruel, Damascene, and Unusual. One of the Blood Coven was taken care of last issue. So now you're kind of caught up, or should be caught up, on who is in this issue. We have multiple things are happening, right? And I think Jed McKay is really good at setting up all these events that are going to have larger implications, not just here, but maybe throughout some of the tie-ins. We know that T'Challa, who's been turned into a vampire, is working to uncover something for Blade. We don't know what that is until the end of this issue. We do find out what's going on, or what was Blade looking for. We also know that Spider-Man, Miles Morales, has been turned into a vampire, and he, as of last issue, had been infiltrating with the heroes. So obviously they didn't know that he was a vampire. So now we get a payoff for that. We'll get to see that in some of the preview pages. And then also the Avengers, like I said, they got the upper hand on one of the Coven last issue. So like, how does that go going forward? So, and of course, like once Bloodline finds out that Blade is the one causing all this, like what's her reaction going to be? And you know, does Dracula have any more planned? Like how does his come into play? Like what is Dracula's ultimate objective? Is it really just to save his own nation of vampires, or does he have other designs? So yeah, really interesting stuff, really cool. We know that the Midnight Mission had their own plan to kind of get rid of all the vampires, or maybe turn them back into human. So like, how are all those things going to pay off? And I think Jed McKay, this issue really feels like a transition issue where we need to regroup and then spread out again, right? And that's just kind of the nature of comic book writing. So I would never fault an issue for doing what it's supposed to be doing like this. This is definitely not an issue that moves the story forward very much up until the last few beats, but there's definitely answers to a few questions. And then, of course, all the things that are being set up. So let's take a look at some of the preview art. Pepe Larraz, continues to just really deliver. I love the technology in the Impossible City. I think it's really cool. I also love the intro line, right? The Impossible City layer of Lord of all Vampires Blade, just in case you can't believe it. And here he is talking to T'Challa, who, like I said, go read the Black Panther Blood Hunt miniseries. I think that'll give you a lot of insight into what T'Challa's been up to. We still have a few Avengers out of commission here, like the Scarlet Witch, Thor, but also, like I said, the Blood Coven has taken a hit. And then we go back to the Sanctum Sanctorum, where Miles's mission was apparently to kill Bloodline, daughter of Blade. So, like, really, really cool stuff. Really good payoff as well. Just immediately all the things that are happening. So, really enjoy this issue. Really fun. We'll go back and take a look at the comparison between this and the red band that we have seen multiple times. That, holy moly, it is just so much more explicit when it comes to the violence and the gore. So if you have read this issue, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Let me know which cover you pick up, because man, they are really bringing some heat. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for The Avengers number 15. This is the Blood Hunt tie-in, and oh boy, what a tie-in it is. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This is written by Jed McKay, with art by C.F. Villa, Federico Buli on colors, letters by Corey Petit, and a fantastic cover by Joshua Kasser and Guru FX. We also have some other covers at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. So, where are we now? So, in the last issue, this latest group of Avengers had to kind of unite against Baron Blood, who's taken a bunch of hostages. They've kidnapped or they hijacked a helicarrier, and now it's being and now Baron Blood and his vampire Nazis are the ones that are in control. So, in this issue, we see a bloody brawl on vampire-infested helicarrier. Captain America's ad hoc team of Avengers, old and new, must face a commanding army of vampires in the sky with a group of decidedly earthbound heroes. Don't miss the action-packed bloody tale of heroism and hemoglobin. So yeah, just as a quick recap, we have Steve Rogers, Captain America, leading the team comprised of Hercules, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Hazmat, who is a relatively new hero. We talked a little bit about that on one of our lives, how she kind of came to be in the Captain Marvel series, and then of course Quicksilver. So we have a good team of Avengers, and they are up here to fight for shenanigans. So I don't know much about Baron Blood. I think it's really interesting that he almost looks like a combination of Batman and Wolverine, and I don't know if that's just the aesthetic that they chose to go here. And you'll see what I'm talking about when we get to the art piece. But that's really interesting. It's just a really interesting, like the mask and then the like he wears these gloves that almost look like gauntlets and stuff like that. So, but I like this. I like this team of Avengers. Like they are very interesting personalities, and I think Jed McKay is really writing a fun story with them. Right, Captain America, of course, taking the charge, but we don't. Some of these characters have been Avengers before. Some of them have had to step up now in the hour of need. But yeah, they have a really good balance. They have really good chemistry right away. Like I really enjoy that, and I think Baron Blood is such an over the top villain that it really works. I love when over the top villains kind of come back and tell Steve like, this is the one time I'll get you or whatever. So let's take a look at some of the preview art. I think CF Villa is doing a really good job just giving us great fights, fun characters, and I hope you see what I'm talking about a little bit. Like that definitely looks very Wolverine-ish as a mask, but then everything else gives a little bit of like, like kind of like the Batman aesthetic, right? Maybe not the code itself, but just like I don't know, like to me because this guy is a vampire, it's just a really fun confrontation. So yeah, great stuff. Great. Steve goes and try to do his own thing while the civilians are being saved, and that's what the rest of the Avengers are working on. We see this really cool attack from Hazmat, who can really control different types of energy. Of course, in this case, UV energy is probably the main thing. And even just the chatter between the Avengers, like it's really fun because they don't work together all the time. So they still trying to get to know each other. In this issue, we see Kate Bishop kind of step up. And then, of course, there's a lot more surprises when it comes to everything that's going on. And, will they be able to save all these people from the vampire? So, yeah, really fun stuff. Really enjoyed this issue. Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for The Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt #2. This is a new book from Marvel Comics tied into the Blood Hunt event. So let's talk about the creative team. This is written by Justina Ireland with pencils by Marcelo Ferreira and Chris Campana, inks by Robert Poggi, Sean Parsons, and Craig Young, colors by Rachel Rosenberg, and letters by Corey Petit. That's quite a lot of names on the call list for the creative team. So this is the book that is following Peter and Misty Knight along with the Lizard as they're trying to find Dr. Morbius and figure out what's going on, right? Of course, we know that Colleen Wing was last seen with Morbius as well, but they now have been captured. Is kind of a word to say it, I guess, by these other vampires or this other organization that's trying to do something with Morbius's vampirism. So we'll see where that plays out. Now, in this issue, Spider-Man and the Lizard need to save Morbius, the living vampire, if the heroes of the Marvel Universe stand a chance at stopping the vampire virulence. But does Dr. Michael Morbius even want to be saved? Dr. Mike, as Colleen Wynn calls him, which is still taking me a little bit to get used to. Um, so this book is kind of broken up into two stories right now, and I think we're finally, with the third issue, we're gonna have those things collide. We have these vampires that are trying to find a cure based on Morbius's previous work, so that vampires kind of regain their own consciousness, and are closer to being, I guess, cured is a word that they use. Um, in the meanwhile, Spider-Man and Misty Knight think that Morbius was kidnapped. I mean, he kind of was, along with Colleen Wynn. So they're trying to they're trying to break him out, break him free, because Morbius can help them to stop the spread of vampirism all throughout the world. So it's kind of a convoluted idea, but I think Ireland and the team really brings everything together. Now, I can see that there would be multiple artists on this, just because there's so much going on, and maybe even the disconnecting story. So I will say the fights are really cool. Like whenever we see Spider-Man and the Lizard taking on some vampires with Misty Knight, that's very cool. There's also a little bit of like what's going on with Colleen Wynn. It looks like she's been bitten. So let's take a look at some of the preview art so you see what I'm talking about. Now, I don't know exactly which artist is doing which pages, unfortunately. I don't have that breakdown. But yeah, here you see that this piece of the company, they're just trying to heal vampires as much as they can, right? Now, obviously, the way this is drawn, there may be some ulterior motives. Uh, and then, as I mentioned, if we move a little bit forward, you see here that Colleen's being held. So I don't know what the relationship between Colleen and Morbius had been in the past, but it looks like he doesn't really care right now that she's being held. Also, she has been bitten, as we can see here. Now, I don't know if that's all it takes to become a vampire in the Marvel Universe. And then we catch up with Misty Knight, Spider-Man, and the Lizard, as they have their own little fight in hand. So yeah, there's a lot happening in this issue. It's still a lot of fun though. I really like seeing Morbius and him explore that part of himself. The idea of finding a cure for his vampirism is something that kind of driven the character for a long time. Now this is something that would have to be done on a larger scale, and then also having the Daughters of the Dragon, and also bringing in the Lizard to work on this. Like it's an interesting setup of characters. So I'm gonna keep reading this. I wouldn't call this essential reading. Maybe by the time we get through this story, we'll have something that'll tie directly back into the main Blood Hunt. But I'm having a good time with it regardless. So hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for X-Men Blood Hunt Jubilee #1. This is a new book and a one-shot from Marvel Comics, all tied into the Blood Hunt event that's happening. But let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Preeti Shiver, Enid Balam, inks by Elisaveta D'Amico, and colors by Jim Campbell, with letters by Anna Mayer. Apologies if I mispronounced any of these names. Um, but we're here. Jubilee, one of my favorite mutants, is getting a little one shot to tie us into the Blood Hunt event. She's previously been a vampire, of course, so like definitely wanted to check this out. In this issue, running from the past is one race you'll never win. As a darkness suffuses the world, Jubilee's past as a vampire is back to take a big bite out of her. It's gonna take more than a couple of plasma bursts to get out of this one for Jubilation Lee. Yeah, very exciting stuff. So I will start with this. As far as the larger set of events, this is pretty much, for now at least, inconsequential as far as the big Blood Hunt event. Now, that being said, this is still a really fun adventure. As I mentioned, Jubilee's one of my favorite characters, and the whole idea of her having been a vampire in the past is really interesting. We get to see. I didn't catch up. I didn't really get into her whole time as a vampire, but I did go through a lot of it. So I'm pretty, like, the tail end of it I'm pretty familiar with. We get some characters coming back from Jubilee's past that maybe you didn't know about, including somebody named Ghostblade, and a whole other coven of vampires that shows up to help her out. That's in the past seems like they've helped her. They helped her when she was a vampire to get past the desire to want to kill and drink blood, and she found a better way. So really interesting stuff. So really cool to reconnect with that part of Jubilee's past. Of course, Jubilee. and her powers are kind of primed for fighting vampires. So, and I think the writing team takes full advantage of that. As we go into that, Jubilee saves somebody who recently became a vampire, and now she wants to kind of help her out and be there for her as somebody was there in the past for her. So, yeah, Jubilee just really great, full of energy, full of adventure. Let's take a look at some of the preview art here. Just a few pages, but still really cool stuff. Very, very dynamic. All of Jubilee's movements. I love her outfit. I really like the one on the cover as well too. So like, as long as you have those really cool pink glasses, I think you can't go wrong. And of course the jacket, right? Those are the trademarks of Jubilee. And just look at her kicking ass with the vampires. So really fun stuff. I think this is one of the most fun one shots that you're gonna get in Blood Hunt. So, as I mentioned, although I don't think this is necessary, I do feel like this is something you probably should. And here's the cover I picked up. It was the Peach Momoko, as you can see. Jubilee is a vampire. So yeah, very exciting stuff. Really cool panels. I really, really enjoyed this read. So make sure to go check this out. There's a few other variant covers at the end of the video. Stay tuned for that. And let me know, what did you think of this book? Are you reading Blood Hunt? How do you feel about the event so far? All that good stuff. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That's most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.